Well, consignment load's been made, 30 lots, almost entirely pulled from the New Zealand guys' basements. So I picked up the check from the first load. This is the second. We'll also sell several of the key items here at the house on Facebook. Some will go up on eBay. And of course, I've still got, a good third, maybe 40% of the trailer left to go. So next time, some of that will go to the consignment. In the meantime, especially once the relatives have headed home, I will begin sorting the contents of the bins. But yeah, all in all, it's turning a nice profit for the effort done. It's Brian down at the packing bench. Yeah, I'm back from dropping off the 30 lots of consignment. Almost everything that went to the consignment this week in this load came out of the basement of that 1928 house in Bremerton. I also picked up the check from the first load we took over 2 weeks ago. And again, I expect a good check from this group because among the interesting things, there was a lot of stuff that resellers could use. Everything from packing supplies to rolling carts, a U-line cart, some tools, some good quality tools, because I'll tell you, those guys liked quality products, and it shows in the items we took over and the ones we took out of the basement. In about 2 weeks, I'll do the rest of the job. I'll work on sorting the trailer, but right now we've still got a load of family in town. As I try to keep up with the business chores, running things to consignment, packing, which is what I'm doing down here today, Rose is keeping the younger half of the visitors busy. She just set up a vintage croquet set down on the Bark area, and they got a chance to try off-road croquet. Yeah, it's not really smooth like a grassy lawn, but it did seem to keep their attention for a little while. And with smaller kids, a little while is about the best you can hope for before they move on to the next thing. We still keep a couple of bins of Legos around, so they get dumped out on a blanket. That keeps them occupied, especially on rainy days. I think this afternoon they'll be hitting the lake with the kayaks or maybe the canoe again. Haven't seen the older kids yet. As it happens, you give them a cell phone, a smartphone, and somebody to correspond with back where they came from, and that's usually pretty good to go. To varying levels, they've all recovered from their long day in Seattle. I think it was nearly 9 when they got back. But I got some good photos from the different photographers who were in the group of 11, the Marauders, as I call them. And I'm told by Tanya that selecting a lunch venue wasn't as bad as it seemed, even with all the requirements. And Rose has an interesting twist on that whole evolution. Trying to get seating for 11 at a Seattle lunch restaurant. Yeah, let me hear it.
No waiting list. They do have chairs and tables. They have vegan food. And it's not 100 plus a plate.
Yeah, and gluten-free, because there's at least one cousin with...
Everybody's dietary needs. Hamburgers for the basics.
That's right. What was your mom's comment?
I don't want Indian food.
If you walk them around enough, you get them tired, and you point them to a place. Yeah, you point them to a place with a chair. Yeah, your compliance is a lot easier. Yep. Visitors, as a rule, like seeing Seattle as the ferry pulls in. It sets the whole skyline up. And as they left in the evening, they could see the lights of the waterfront area. They could see the big wheel, the big Ferris wheel that we have now. And you could see the Space Needle in the background. And some of them, at least, went up to see the Space Needle. It has a revolving restaurant and a clear floor. So if you don't like heights, don't go visit the Space Needle. And then when I'm done, when I take care of today's items, we're taking the horde down to Brandy's. We're having dinner at Brandy's today. And that way, if the kids haven't seen the farm and all the farm animals, they'll get a chance to see the goats and the sheep and whatever else she's added lately, because her own daughters are home as well. So I'll get a chance to see my granddaughters.
Came in handy when we
it is a big car. Well, I've got a couple other sales too, and I'll flip the camera around as I go and I'll show them to you. But it's a little hot here in the oven. The sun broke out. The Lady of the Lake. True crime, but not a big book. Has a little bit of staining. I can't tell for sure, but those look like either coffee cup rings. I suppose it could be a pattern on the book. But I always say look at the photos for condition. And even though there's a barcode from the bookstore, there's no barcode for the book itself. But this is one of those true crimes about Lake Crescent and a body. So yeah, short print run books, I like to find them. Often there's a market, not a huge market. I think it went out on an offer to buyer, so it didn't even bring what we originally put it up for. And I tell you, it's one of those situations where I think the book and the shipping are going to come out about the same, but I'm sure it went up media. I'll probably go with some cardboard inserts because it's really too small for wrapping in corrugated. So we'll just take a bubble mailer, cut a couple squares of cardboard, and that's the way it'll go. And there we go. I cut a piece of cardboard, a little bit bigger to make a stiffener. I'll put this good face down like this, and I'll slide it into the poly. And at this price point, that's a pretty good pack. Now here's the shipping page for that little book about the murder up at Lake Crescent. I charge $5.79, put it up as media. That way I'm covering the packing materials and such. The media, because it's staying in Washington State, it's actually going back up to that very area. Shipping $4.39. But this is the kind of thing I used to think about jumping up to Ground Advantage. But it's a $7 ticket. So I'd be losing big money and most of my profit to upgrade that. At $6.79, it makes me think that they must think Port Angeles, Washington is a rural area. Let's check that. Without the cardboard stiffener, let's put this up at 15 ounces, $4.39 in media, $6.79, $6.94 Ground Advantage. So it doesn't really matter. They're going to get the $7 Ground Advantage regardless of which of the weight increments I put in. Probably because it's in state and so close with that zip code. Here's an interesting little item, flashback from years back. The interesting things about this, of course, dinosaurs on a kid's ruler. Why could I sell a separate kid's ruler? Well, one thing, it's made in the USA. The other, the name was never put in. Originally, though, this was probably a giveaway at an event for the credit union. Members joining together. Not our credit union, but one like ours. So I'm sure at some point this was a counter giveaway for every kid who came into the credit union. Now we know what length it is. It's at least 12 inches once I pack it. I'll probably just roll this in about 2 layers of cardboard to make it stiff. I've got to make the cardboard large enough to hold a shipping label. So I'm probably going to have to fold over some cardboard about 4.5 inches. Otherwise, I could fold the label, but it's almost easier to stiffen it up. You try to make the package too small, it may get lost in the mail, or it may not be strong enough to take any force put on it. So I'll cut about 12, 14 inches of cardboard by about 13, 14 inches, and I'll wrap this in some cardboard. I may also put it in a bag just so it presents a little bit better. But if we look here under the new shipping rules, $6.79, I just, even though it's not a good price point, I had to put it up and save it. It came in with a bunch of admin supplies. But look at the shipping. I'm having to charge $7.49 because I don't know whether it'll be to a destination that's rural or urban. And there it is. I put it in a plastic bag, put it inside a folded piece of cardboard, and by folding the cardboard here, it really does strengthen this. Somebody would have to put quite a bit of weight in the middle of this to do any real damage. I used a thick piece of cardboard, a flap off a box, and this is the way I will orient the shipping label. So it makes it easier if you make your pack at least as wide as the label. That way you're not bending the label around. Now, some of the furniture in the guest room, it's an interesting example of real estate, especially in situations where the owners, they're snowbirds who don't live here full time. This particular couple lived in Arizona primarily, but the house came up on the market because he had passed. She was being moved into assisted living. It was a trust situation, and the elder son, one of the adult sons, was actually arranging the sale. So this house was offered to us furnished, and it was almost like stagers had come in and set it up. You know, there was no personal stuff in the closets, but there were dishes, there were dressers. This bed, in fact, was part of the deal. 2 beds. There was one in each of the bedrooms. And this house is pretty much set up as a 2-bedroom with another room that could be a bedroom. It doesn't have a closet, which is one of the odd things about living in the U.S. You know, for the real estate market to consider it a bedroom, they think it needs a built-in closet, you know, something like this one. But Rose and I have lived in places like Naples, Italy, where bedrooms didn't have closets. You used old-fashioned stand-up wardrobes or armoires to take care of your clothing. So no matter how small something is, and that new house down the road's an example, there's got to be a closet to list it in the sale as a bedroom. But Rose and I were moving down from Seebeck, and we were moving down a trailer load at a time or a truckload each time we came down. So we evaluated the pieces. For instance, there were 2 dressers that looked like this one. They were a little bit larger. This was ours up in Seebeck. So we put the 2 that matched, that looked similar to this, up for sale, and we kept this one. We brought it down from Seebeck. The bed was better than the one we had in the loft in Seebeck, nice mattress. If you have a seasonal dwelling that has a guest room, well, between the fact that they're not here all the time and there aren't always guests, you can have a bed that has almost no wear. And that's why I say it really looked like stagers had brought it in. But there was a kitchen table, there were chairs, the living room was fully furnished, there was some art on the walls. So we basically took a look at each of the pieces and did the same thing we do when we end up with an estate load. We put them up on Facebook, we ran them on Craigslist, we gave them away. A few pieces, like this bed, stayed. It's not the only piece. This piece that held the television set was here, and because it worked in this corner, we kept it. There was also a TV, but it's not this one. Their TV eventually failed, and we replaced it. But for instance, this TV was mounted on the wall. We don't really use it, but it was here, so this TV was part of the deal. If you went out and you looked in the white barn, there was a workbench, there was freestanding shelving, there was a Werner ladder, there were some tools, there was touch-up paint. So each of the areas basically looked like they'd been staged. And as we accepted the house, we got it with the contents. Did it really make us much money to offset the price of the house? No, but it did give us a set of furniture from the day we bought the house. So if we wanted to bring down a load and then spend the night here while we unpacked it and sorted it, we had beds right from day one. We had a dining room table to eat at, chairs in the living room to sit, a TV to watch. So in that sense, it made it very convenient. In the other, we had an extra household of furniture to dispose of. So if Rose and I decide to swap out this bed, which we're leaning towards that decision, and put in a bunk bed type system with a fold-out futon below it, we know these will sell because we've already sold its twin brother. Out at the lake, there was a pedal boat. So the place came with our first pedal boat out here. We had had pedal boats before, but it seemed like an ideal thing for the lake. So for that first summer or two, we used the pedal boat that came with the house. Eventually, we decided to upgrade, so we passed it on, sold it off. I'm liking this new coffee pot with the single cup feature, especially with house guests this week. Normally, Rose and I make a pot in the morning, or I make one for myself if she's not here. But with house guests, coming up with one more cup of coffee is a little harder. So the only trick, knowing how much water a given cup holds. Pour that much in, and you get 1 cup of coffee out. Did you hit the wicket?
He hasn't hit the wooden stake yet.
No.
Get your, yeah, there you go. Now hit the wooden stake.
There you go.
I feel like falling over.
Mallet and ball goes out. And okay, Livy, you have to hop off the swing because you have to take. Oh, I'm after him, aren't I? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You got your course set up, huh?
We do. As good as we can.
Almost. Is it more than halfway through?
That sounds crazy.
Yeah, I am. Take one more shot.
One hit.
Oh, way past where I need to be.
Is this a new game for you, Liv, or have you played this before?
Nobody else has played this before.
Ah. Okay. Echo's grandma gave you a stick, huh? It's like giving them hockey sticks.
Good. Perfect.
Whoa,
Perfectly
nice.
lined up.
We have a third place.
Go back. I need to go through that.
It's the shoes that caused you to be unbalanced and hit the wicket.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, now you're lined up. Perfect.
Yeah, this is not what you call a well-manicured course, huh, Rose?
Yeah, no.
Well, I have the choice to decide whether or not to hit you or not. You go.
Oh, drinks. You mommies are all alike. Ice is good.
Ice, ice.
Ice, now, straight through, sweetie.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding. Now.
Ice, baby.
Ice, baby.
Isn't that a rapper? We're hunting wabbits. Are you guys hunting wabbits or wickets?
Oh, I got it here.
The toys the little kids picked up as souvenirs in Seattle. Moonballs and Twiddle Starfish. I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to do other than like keep them amused, but I guess these are supposed to bounce, and of course they look like moon craters. A Waboba moonball. You enjoy your night.